When we look at what's going on with Brexit and the crisis that's there, I would say that fundamentally what we're seeing now is stage two. It looked like they could not win the election, so now the stage two is to break it. They want to try to create a crisis. It was a Project Fear to try to persuade people not to get out of the European Union. Now that vote has been taken and they could not shut that down, they are trying to do everything they can to make all of the dire predictions of economic consequences come true. And we're going to take a look at that. But first of all, look at, again, they want a do-over. And we see this from the younger voters complaining, the millennials complaining about the baby boomer generation, saying, we're the ones who are going to have to live with this. We want to be in the European Union, but you're the ones who wanted to get out. Now, just understand, if we go back and look at the history, there was also a referendum back in 1975. Two-thirds of the voters then opted to stay in the EU. 4 years later, it had flipped the other way around. Most of them wanted to leave. And these are the people, the baby boomers, who have been living under this EU for 40 years. So this is not about racism, as I like to say. It's not even about economic issues. It is fundamentally about sovereignty. It is about a loss of control. Whether or not you're going to be a serf to someone else, someone who is going to write the laws for you, just as we see with the Supreme Court, just as we see with President Obama, unelected people at a distant location who have their own agenda, and they're not going to allow you to have elected representatives who are going to write the laws. That's what's been going on in Europe for a very long time. It's what we see happening here in spades. For example, there's an article from the Daily Mail, the bonfire of the EU laws, from crooked cucumbers to powerful vacuum cleaners, the crazy Brussels regulations we can now get rid of. And of course, they're talking about things like banning bananas that are too curvy, cucumbers that are crooked and not straight, banning incandescent light bulbs. Oh, we've seen that here, haven't we? Banning vacuum cleaners that are too powerful. And it wasn't just vacuum cleaners. They had a whole list of appliances they were going to get rid of. Even drinking water, they said, does not prevent dehydration. This was a ruling by the European Commission in 2011. See, no matter how ridiculous the ruling, they're going to continue to go with it. And yet today, we see, even after the election, we still see David Cameron doubling down, saying this is about xenophobia, it's about racism, and it's not. It is about sovereignty. David Cameron, when they were having the debates, said, don't vote for Brexit based on the flyers coming out from UKIP. He said there's three issues there. He said they're telling you it's 350 million pounds a week going net to Brussels. No, it's not that much. It's a different number, whatever. It doesn't matter. It can be any number, and Brussels can change it at will. He said they're telling you that Turkey is going to come in. Don't worry, that won't happen for until after I'm out of office. And then he says, and they're telling you there's a European army. Okay. We have an article what we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But understand that what they're concerned about is not just Britain leaving, but a whole slew of nations leaving. 40% of Swedes, Poles, and Belgians are in the same vote. And we've also got Finland, Hungary, Portugal, Slovakia, France, Holland, Italy, Austria. Many of those say they would like to have a vote as well. And people are joking about it. If the Poles leave, will it be a pole vault? Or will we have Portugal leaving and it'll be a departugal? It'll leave. Austria, check out. You know, there's some jokes that are coming out. What are they doing to fight this? Well, it's out of the election stage right now. So what they are doing is they're basically holding a gun to people's heads with the stock markets, manipulating these markets. We've seen HSBC get caught 2 times at least, okay, convicted twice of money laundering for drug cartels and for terrorists getting away with it. We've seen all these big banks now who are creating crisis around Brexit. These are the banks that manipulated the LIBOR exchange, the London Interbank Rate Exchange that is the basis of all variable rate mortgages. We've seen them manipulate currencies. We've seen them manipulate commodities, stock exchanges. Every kind of market has been manipulated by these bankers. And now what they're saying is, this is HSBC coming out saying, well, we're going to take 70,000 jobs out of London. We're already planning to move 1,000 workers from London to Paris, and it's going to start next week. They haven't even started the process of leaving, but immediately they're pulling this out because they want to make it as financially painful as possible, trying to get people to reverse themselves. They saw this happen in 1975. They saw people change their mind. They've already got people saying, well, we got to have a do-over. They're going to try to make it as difficult as possible. They are selling off the pound. We're seeing S&P downgrading the entire country, downgrading all the UK. How long did it take them to downgrade these bankers and these people who were playing games with mortgages in the financial crisis. I mean, watch the movie Big Short. It is the Wall Street financial equivalent of 13 hours. You're watching this, and everybody can see it's a Ponzi scheme. There's absolutely no basis for these mortgages, for Lehman Brothers, for these other companies. They're expecting Standard & Poor's and Fitch and all these other rating agencies to downgrade them, and they don't do it. And these guys are making bets based on the bankruptcy of this mortgage market. And yet Standard & Poor's refuses to downgrade, and these guys went bankrupt. Watch the movie Big Short, you can see that. And yet in one day, you see Standard & Poor's downgrade the entire nation of Great Britain by 2 notches, from AAA to AA. Fitch, meanwhile, moved its rating from AA plus to AA. They dropped them down 1 notch. This is the way they're trying to punish people.